Hi, Forge Goblins. So, if any of you have been tracking my Instagram lately at Orcforge, you'll see that I've been working on a Rasp Bowie knife as a project, partly as a learning process. This was this first one of the first sort of project knives I've done from beginning to end, with as a stock removal project, but also as a thank you to a one of my wife's clients for actually providing me with the various rasps to work with in the first place. I've learned a lot with this build, and I think I'm ready to call it finished. It's serviceable, but it's not as good as I would like. So, in particular, like if any of you are fans of the Forgecast with Alex and Sam over there, and if you're not, I highly recommend that you go watch it, listen to it. It's a podcast, you guys know what I mean. So, both Sam and Alex recommend that we critique our own work. We strive to be better with it and strive for the best that we can be, and that resonates with me. So I thought I'd do a quick summary video and cover sort of the good and bad of this sort of. I'm happy enough with it as definitely a functional piece. I've tested the edge. I've tested the temper. I know for a fact that it will hold up. I spent a solid couple of minutes slamming it against a 2x4 in my backyard, and I didn't get any rolling at all. So by the looks of things, I nailed the heat treat and the edge and the temper, which I'm really happy about. However, the fit and finish does leave something to be desired, and while I'm willing to call it finished and done for now, I definitely have picked up quite a bit to learn to take away for my next build. So first of all, we'll start with some of the good things, the things I actually like about it. So I'm really happy with the profile, and I'm really happy with the grind and the hand sand finish. This is hand sanded up to 2000 grit, which just looks. I'm really happy with how it looks. It's got quite I'm not sure how easily it's sort of reflecting it there. I mean, you can kind of see some of it, but you can see the reflection just in there. I'm also really happy that it's got the nice pattern in the ridging here from where the teeth were in the rasp that it was made from. I actually had to regrind the shape of the tip here at one point, because as I was doing some of the fit up with the handle, I actually bent over the tip, so I then had to regrind this belly just here to give it a new tip, regrind in the false edge and the clip, and then regrind everything back up to 600 on the belt grinder in the workshop, and then 600 grit on the workshop on the 72, and then hand sand it back up to 2000. Didn't take all that long to do the grinds the second time around, which I'm quite happy with. Is once I got the hang of the positioning and the holding it, and one thing I'm also happy about with this is that I'm happy that the grinds are reasonably clean. There's there's room for improvement. There always is. But for a first time project blade, I'm reasonably happy with the depth of the primary bevel just here, and that it's consistent, reasonably consistent on both sides. I'm happy that the plunge grind is not nice and even on both sides, and I'm also happy just that the actual edge itself is quite nice. When I did the first grind on it and originally took it up to 600 grit, there was a slight swell in the blade just here, almost to the point of being too thin down here and way too thick up here. But when I bent the tip and had to regrind all that profile and regrind all the blade back up to 600, I took the time to really clean up that primary bevel a bit. And I'm much happier with the edge alignment the edge grind on that. The heat treat and the temper went really, really well. It ended up taking 2 quenches to get the blade to harden. I just brought it up to temperature in my gas forge, brought it up to non-magnetic. I have an old hard drive magnet attached to my workbench that I use to when it's at color to check that it is still non-magnetic. Those old hard drive magnets are nice and strong, so you can feel a really, really simple pull just even from a distance. The second time around, it definitely got hard. I was quite happy. I was happy with the hardness, and then I tempered it that night in the oven here in my kitchen at about 200 degrees Celsius for a couple of hours. I'll have to look that one up, and I'll put the exact temper I did down in the description, because I'll have to go back through my message history with Alex at Valhalla Ironworks, who helped me out with the tempering times and tempering temperatures for this. So I was really happy with how well that went along. The handle is made of a nice block of red gum, which I've done a burn through for. It's a full tang, it's a through tang Bowie knife with a burn through handle, which I've then shaped, and it's got mild steel plate for the guard and butt cap. So the materials themselves, quite happy with. The actual grip itself feels really comfortable in my hand. And I've also got a self-tap countersunk screw drilled into the bottom of the butt cap to provide additional pressure for the butt cap to hold it all together, so that the point of the tang here can actually be used as a skull breaker. So we come back. So that's the good. I'm really happy with the profile. I'm happy with the grinding. I'm happy with the blade itself, the heat treat, the temper, everything on that came together really, really well. I'm really happy with that, and I'm really happy with all the advice and suggestions that both Sam Towns over at Sam Towns Bladesmith and Alex down at Valhalla Ironworks provided to help this build come together. Now we come to some of the bads. Fit and finish very clearly is not my strong suit at this stage. I'm still very much a beginner, and I've taken away a lot in this build that I can use to do better finishes, better fit ups for future builds. So it's a little tricky to see on my phone's camera, but there is some very noticeable gapping in the handle there. So I'll put my hand there to give you a bit of contrast. Yeah, you can see the gapping just here, where the wood of the handle doesn't sit as flush as I would like against the guard, and it's much more severe on the butt cap here, where this screw is pulling the butt cap forward a little bit more. Now, there's a lot I could do in future builds to make that a much more clean and tight fit up. In terms of its structural stability, the blade itself is rock solid. I have no complaints with the fit up on this. The adhesive has bound really well to all the components, binding them all together really effectively, and then the screw in the butt cap is acting as additional mechanical strength for that. So overall, I'm really happy with that part of it. The other major issue I have with it, and this is a tooling and experience issue, which will come with time. So if you look down the length of the blade just there, the tang hole in the guard here is too wide for the actual tang and blade, for the actual tang to slot through comfortably. Most of that I ascribe to my inexperience, not suggesting to me that to make sure that the grind on the tang was kept at a consistent width to the rest of the blade, so that this tang hole becomes no wider than the blade itself. So that's definitely a takeaway for me for future builds. The client who asked for this build, was also asking for a more rustic build anyway. So I don't foresee that he's going to be terribly concerned with a lot of this. This is very much kind of my own pickiness about fit and fit up. Fit and finish. That's the term. And also wanting to do the best job that I can with this. The sanding job on the handle is again functional, but could be better. Like the actual grip for me is nice and comfortable. There's a slight finger swell just in the middle there, which for me locks my hand right in. Like I'm pushing really hard there, and it required a fair bit of force for my hand to even slip down. But there's also very little movement for your hand to go. So the actual shaping of the handle went okay, but I think for future builds I'll do more markup on the handle shaping, so that I've got more defined lines to work with. With the blade itself, I did a lot of the shaping on that using a Sharpie to mark out where I was grinding to, and that seemed to work really well for the way I work. I will point out too that one of the things I'm also really happy about with the profile and the grinding on this was that this was all done freehand. I don't have a tool rest for my grinder because my grinder is a home built number. I would call it Franken grinder, but Alex already stole that. So I have a name for my grinder, but I might share that in a future video. But the only other major issue I have with this is that there is it's when you look directly down the length of the blade like that, you can see very clearly that the edge alignment is slightly off, which is an error on my part with the fit up for the burn through not being straight. If the burn through had been straighter, it probably would have been better aligned. However, the recipient for this one is a personal friend, and this is going to be just for decorative purposes. He's not terribly concerned about it. The overall look of the blade I actually quite like. The dark reddish color of the red gum handle with the polished mirror finish on the steel, with the mild steel guard and butt cap with a skull cracker. I think it looks nice. It's a very serviceable blade. It is a combat profile, so it's technically a weapon. So it's serviceable. Simple functionalism is how I probably would try and describe it. But definitely learned a lot with this, good and bad, that I hope to improve on with future builds. I have a couple of build designs on my drawing board at the moment, for friends and just general curiosity. There's a few specific projects I want to do myself, but there's also one or two I want to do for some friends. So that, I think that covers sort of a lot of it. A lot of my concerns are down to the fit and finish on this. And a lot of those concerns and problems that occurred in that fit and finish are largely due to my inexperience and tendency to rush things. The blade itself is functional. The grip is nice and comfortable. The handle is sanded and oiled, which has brought a really nice sort of dark finish to it, which I quite like. My cat's on the back of the couch having a bit of a tussle. So yeah, I mean, I'll put some photos up on my Instagram to cover off a lot of what I've just talked about. But so let me know what you think. Happy for constructive feedback. And I look forward to hearing from you all next time. So, till then, catch you later for Forge Goblins, and I'll see you